This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out with one of our year in review episodes for 2021. Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren, and it's been a great year for you, Frank. Surely, just kind of sum it up if you can for us, where you've gone from the start of the year to the end, the journey, if you like.
Well, the journey for us, I think the most important thing was getting fans back in. So we've got atmosphere. We've been doing what we've trying to do for the last few years, which is basically bring our fighters through and establish them. We've done that. Tyson finally got out after 20 months outside the ring and put a spectacular performance in for me, the fight of the year. We've got Joe Joyce in the number one position with the WBO. We've got Daniel Dubois in the number one position in the WBA. So heavyweight-wise, we've probably got the strongest heavyweight stable under our umbrella. So I'm pleased with that. We've established Callum Johnson, got him into a good position where he's challenging for the world title in January. We've got Anthony Yard back on track with a spectacular performance. We signed Zach Parker, who I was so delighted to sign, and he was like a hidden gem, and he's been a revelation for me, and I really do rate him. So he's in a one spot, he's in a good position. And I can keep going down the line and talking about all the different fighters, but we're in a very, 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 very strong position as far as fighters are concerned. And I think that 2021 for us was, as I say, getting the fans back in, getting the fights on that mattered, and basically strategically getting ourselves into a position for a good 2022. My only concern is moving forward because of this new strain that we might suffer lockdown again. I hope that's not going to be the case, and I don't want to be a doom monger because I'm quite an optimist. But I hope that we can now capitalise on this, and we've got some great stuff moving forward on BT.
And talking of BT, what's that kind of development of the relationship been like? Because now they're showing the prospect shows that you put on as well, showing more foreign action from abroad as well. Just seems like that relationship strengthening.
Well, it is. I mean, it's a partnership. That's what we're in partnership, and between us, we've gone from zero, which they had zero amount of experience in boxing, zero amount of viewers who watch boxing, and we've built quite a good platform there. And I think we've got the strongest group of fighters in this country, if not Europe. And I'm delighted where we are. I mean, I think we're the premier promoters as far as our fighters are concerned. So I'm absolutely delighted, and they're delighted. So next year is all about moving it even further on.
We saw this year Matchroom move all their operations to DAZN, including UK, and then we saw Sky return to the battlefield, if you like, with Boxer this time around. While competition is great, and we all agree with that, are you concerned at all it will make the best British fights harder to put together, having them with all different broadcasters and promoters?
It really depends if fights go to purse offers. It depends, on situations like that. That's why I sort of, when people say, let's get rid of all these governing bodies. I mean, there should only be two, I believe, but there should not be one, because if there was one, no one would get a look in it. Go back to the bad old days, which most of your viewers wouldn't know about because they're not old enough. But in those days, people got frozen out. Look, it is what it is. It's competitive. It's competitive out there, and all I've ever done from day one in this sport is be involved in competition with fellow promoters, and I like to feel that over that period of time, what is it now, 40? With the unlicensed stuff, about 46 years now I've been doing it. All over that period of time, the cream's always risen to the top. And we are, as you just said, it's been a great year for us, great fighters that we've got. So I'm delighted where we are.
What's been your personal highlight of the year, boxing-wise?
I know I keep harping on about Tyson, but I think that fight was the best heavyweight fight I've ever seen live. I sat there and it's just enthralling. I mean, it took two to make the fight, by the way. Deontay Wilder, I mean, I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I knew he'd come to fight, but he did better than I expected. And he showed what a true gladiator he was. And it was just an enthralling fight. Put Tyson down twice. Tyson got up. as he does. Got up twice, but it was just the most amazing fight, and everybody there was on the edge of their seats. They were going crazy, and there were no Brits there. If the Brits had been there as well, God knows, but it's taken the roof off the place. But the American audience just loved it. We loved it. It was at times a little bit too much of a spectacle for me. But the facts of the matter are, it was a privilege to be there. It was a great fight.
What's been your toughest moment or biggest challenge from 2021?
I think for it, like everybody, the COVID, with the crowds, it's been very difficult to try and make shows work, not just financially, but also, fighters like we've seen fights with an audience in front of them. And there were some good fights, when they were behind closed doors. There were some good fights, so there's no doubt about it. But once you've got an audience there, it changes the whole thing altogether. It's just, the act is so atmospheric, especially if you've got something good going on in the ring. And that for me has been brilliant.
Which of your fighters, and you can pick out more than one, do you feel has made the biggest strides in 2021? Who's kind of improved or, made their position better?
I've got a list of them. I can look at some of the youngsters and look at, Hamza Shiraz, I think, has really done well. Here I go. It's going to be, I'm going to leave. I know I'm going, because I'm getting old, I'm going to forget some names. But, a lot of them there, I don't want to go through them. You probably mentioned all the names. One of them, I just don't want to upset any of them. I can look at Dennis. I can look at, Sam Noakes. I can look at Chamberlain. I can look at, all those guys down. There's just so many of them, and I feel it's, I don't want to upset anybody. But you look at what we've been putting on. All those youngsters have done extremely well. They're all coming through. They've all really, really performed well.
I thought, in terms of making big strides, Anthony Yard and Zach Parker have both made big steps forward this year.
Yeah, sorry, I'd mentioned them earlier. I mentioned them earlier. Yeah, Zach Parker, I think, has gone from strength to strength. As I mentioned earlier, he's a revelation. Anthony Yard has firmly re-established himself as being the number one out there. The fight I'd like to see him have, I'd like to see him fight for the world title, but I'd like to see him fight Buatsi. I'd like to make.
I think a lot of fans would as well.
Well, of course we would. It's a fight everybody would be a winner. It'd be a great fight. Well, we'd all be winners watching it. And I do fancy Anthony.
And you mentioned some of your young talent just a minute ago. I will ask you to only pick out 2 or 3. I know you find it difficult, but who are the ones we really should be watching to make big strides in 2022?
Well, I think Hamza, he's had 14 fights now. He's quite controversial, his fight with Bradley Skeet. And by the way, we've offered Bradley, he has, and I've offered Bradley in writing a rematch, but he's not come back. So I don't know what. So we've got deadlines on things because he'll be fighting again in February. I think he's done well, and I think he'll learn from that fight. He eventually caught up with him. It was very controversial at the end, and the blows on the floor. But anyway. I think he'll go from strength to strength next year. A lot of Zach, I think, is going to go from strength to strength. He'll fight for the world title next year. I'm quite convinced about that. They're all doing well. They're all come through. Young Dennis McCann. It's just such a great bunch of fighters there.
And if you could make any fight, and it doesn't have to be in-house, it could be cross-promotional, it's kind of fantasy booking, if you like, next year, what's the one fight you'd make? And I think I know the answer, but tell us anyway.
Well, we know what the big one is. It would be the, as it stands this moment, Tyson against Usyk. And I'd also like to make the fight with Buatsi and Anthony Yard. That's the fight I'd like to make.
Which of those 2 do you think would be more likely to happen?
Or Conor Ben.
All right, which of those 3 do you think would be more likely to happen?
None of them.
I thought you were an optimist.
Well, I'm an optimist, but they're not going to allow Conor in with David, and yourself that Buatsi is not going to fight Anthony Yard. I know that.
I think the Undisputed is probably the most likely out of the 3 then.
Yeah, and the Undisputed will probably be, once they get their obligations out of the way, will be easiest to make.
We'll keep all our fingers crossed. We'll add it late to our Santa lists.
We will, mate.
All right, Frank, really, really appreciate it. Thanks for everything in 2021 in terms of giving us access and talking to us. Always appreciated. And we look forward to next year, strength to strength.
We do. And I'll again, Dan, thank you for all what you do, helping to publicise the shows and let everybody know what we're trying to do here. Appreciate it all. Merry Christmas to you, your family, and all your viewers.
Thanks, Frank.